Thank you so much for joining us for the fourth workshop of Walking in Their Shoes. Today, we'll be exploring the topic of interfaith and listening to the stories of those who are not practicing Christians. As you know, in America, Christianity is the most prevalent religion. And so today we'll get to hear firsthand what it's like to be part of a minority faith tradition. As we explore this topic, I have two people that are here with us today that are willing to share their story. The first individual is Sam Shukrai. Sam is part of the Islamic Society of Gastonia, and Brandy Nolish is with us. She is from Temple Kol Tikva in Davidson. Brandy, let's just start with you. Maybe you could just share a little bit about what it's like to be Jewish in America.
So my path to Judaism, I was not born Jewish. I converted to Judaism a few years after I married my husband, and I would say I was born Catholic. I had my father's parents were born again Christians. My grandfather was Catholic first, but then something happened with the church and they became born again. And to be frank, I would say that my experiences with Christianity through them were not warm and welcoming. So I never connected to that aspect. And different times that I've had, I would hate to say, but run-ins with very devout Christians, or that's what they would call themselves. They were always presented in a way that you look lost, you look sad, come with me. It was, there's something wrong with you. I have something that will make you feel better.
Right.
And it was always very unsolicited and very unwarranted. So I felt no connection growing up. And as far as being Catholic, I was the youngest of five. My mother was not dragging us all to church. So that as far as Catholicism in and of itself, I had very limited, if not little to no exposure to true Catholicism growing up. So when I met my husband, I've always been very open spiritually. I've always been a very kind of like all paths to God, and we're connected, and to be part of something bigger and to treat people well. And that was what was important is, if you're going to show your love of God, or however you name it, it's through kindness and service to other people. And I met my husband. His sister is actually a rabbi in Israel. When we met, he was very agnostic. She went the other direction. And I think he got a lot closer to his faith after we had kids. My journey started the first trip when we went to Israel to be with my sister-in-law and her family in Jerusalem. And we went to Masada, we went to the Dead Sea, and it was during the High Holy Days that we were there, and I felt very spiritually connected, and that was the fire that lit my path to Judaism. And what I felt really connected to Judaism, what it was, about trying to heal the world, trying to have a voice for marginalized groups of people that can't, for whatever reason, or aren't able to share their own voice, and charity, and you showing your faith in God and your gratitude towards all that you have, whether it be, goods and ups and downs and everything, but by being there for other people and helping other people and sowing love. We have the phrase is Tikkun Olam, which is to heal the world. And that spoke very much to who I was before I met my husband. I didn't convert so we would get married. I converted when I felt the calling to convert.
Yeah. Sam, would you mind just talking a little bit about what it's like to be Muslim in America?
Sure. Well, I'm a little bit different, of course, because I'm born as a Muslim. I'm originally from Egypt, Cairo, Egypt. So I would probably make it as like a 3 different stages or 3 different time frame. Obviously, the time was in Egypt, growing up as a Muslim in a Muslim family, a Muslim country, Muslim environment. I'm a Muslim, mosques everywhere, like here, like churches everywhere. So it's not like in my mind, hey, I'm a Muslim, I'm practicing my religion. Someday, I was not like really as involved in religion as I am right now, which is, I'm glad that I moved here to do what I'm doing. But again, hey, I mean, like I said, Islamic environment, Islamic country, it's a given. You're a Muslim, you live in your life. When I moved here in 1984, back 1984, obviously nobody probably even know what Egypt is. Of course, being a Muslim, like, what do you mean by being a Muslim? Like, what is it? What is it? So the knowledge of people, especially in the South, was a little bit, I would say probably 1% of people I talked to back then, they didn't have no clue, about the religion, about the country, my country, about, a lot of things. Till 9/11 happened. When 9/11 happened, that kind of like turned the table around. That's the third phase, and that's where we're in right now.
And I converted when we were in Columbus, Ohio, and there was a pretty decent Jewish population in Columbus. We weren't far from Cleveland, and I think Cleveland is either the second or the third largest Jewish population in the United States. We've had very different experiences coming here. Moving to North Carolina has been a very different experience. We feel you meet people, and it is a very transient area where we are. We found a Jewish community. We chose to move where we chose because there was a Reform temple. So it was important for us to be near that. Our kids go to religious school. I'm very involved with my temple. I'm the social action chair of my temple. I am the chair for Mitzvah Day, different organizations as well within the temple to reach out, to show gratitude to first responders and stuff like that. So that's been good to have that connection. I've also felt very othered. My children have felt very othered. And it's been interesting. It's also been a very interesting political climate that I think has led to a lot of that. And, it's not the worst. We still try to make sure that we are treating people like human beings, connecting, giving voice to we try to work for the service of people.
When 9/11 happened, of course, everybody pointing the finger to the Muslims, to the Brotherhood, to this and that. And then we're talking about the churches. We formed a trialogue committee. So from 9/11, we started with about maybe 10 people in the group. Now we have an email about probably close to 60 or 70 person in that trialogue group. That really, the 9/11 kind of like open eyes to the Christian churches, to the Muslim faith, and to the Muslim people. So we were like going to churches almost like once a week, sometimes twice a week, on Sundays and Wednesdays. And we tried to kind of like wipe out the idea about what happened on 9/11. Small group of people, their mind is one thing, this like my way or highway in a way. And what's really the Islam is all about. And by showing them, by talking to them, by explaining to them the rule of Islam and the sympathy of the Islam and the logic about the Islam and what's the Islam all about our Prophet, peace be upon him. I can tell you right now, the 1% doesn't know anything about the country and about religion. I would say probably 85% now know what the Islam is, what the other country is. Of course, some areas, like especially after 9/11, we got some harsh stories been happening, been harassed and been attacked, especially the women who were in the hijab, the scarf in their head. Obviously, it's like they're a Muslim, so they're like right away they've been attacked, and happened in our society in Charlotte area more than in the Gastonia area. Gastonia area we have only one mosque, and we were fortunate that nothing happened in our area, in our mosque, and the churches around us really kind of like put us under their wing. They kind of like protected us. They came to us in the mosque. They saw who we are. The kids in school, believe it or not, the kids in school, middle school, high school, they changed their behavior after 9/11, before and after, to show, because their parents kind of like emphasize that when you go to school, you're a Muslim, you're different than other kids. Show who you are, act the way you act, behave the way the Islam taught you to behave.
Mm-hmm.
So having that done and say that done and doing this done, like I said, we turned the table around from 1% on knowledge to close to 70-80% knowledge.
Maybe you could speak just a little bit about what you mean when you say othered. What that experience maybe was in a little bit more detail.
I have had, oh, well, what are you going to do for Christmas? Well, we don't celebrate. We're Jewish. Oh, what do you mean you don't celebrate Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, what are you doing for Easter? Oh, we're Jewish. We don't celebrate Easter. What do you mean you don't? And there's always like kind of a look. I think my children may get the brunt end of it, and that might be coloring my glasses, where, we've got a lot of friends in the neighborhood and they're all very lovely people. But my daughter comes home and says, my friend is crying because she tells me she knows I'm Jewish and she doesn't want me to go to hell.
Oh.
So this is what a 7 or 8 year old is saying to another 7 or 8 year old. Right. And not because their parents, I don't believe, are pulling up the side and going, oh, I don't think it's the parents, but, they go to Christian schools and they hang out with other Christian kids, and all their extracurriculars, aside from playing with kids in the neighborhood, are with the Christian groups that they're in. And there's still a whole lot of anti-Semitism in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would imagine there's a lot of xenophobia in that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so being a mom and hearing your kids coming home, bringing those stories to you, that's got to be heartbreaking.
It's infuriating.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say heartbreaking. I don't take it that way. But it does. I find it upsetting, and it makes me want to be more proactive.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is definitely a step towards being proactive. These workshops are designed to create awareness, to listen to stories like yours and the experiences that your children have, and just kind of have our blinders taken off so that we can say, oh my gosh, this is happening in our community, and what can we do to create more awareness and just unity. So I'm glad that at least Unity Presbyterian Church can be a little bit of a bridge builder for you. So I also look forward to how we can continue to deepen those relationships.
Yes.
But I've been working in the same location since '85. So the first year to me, when Brandy was saying about Christmas, of course, and Thanksgiving and those days, and why you're not celebrating Christmas, why this and why that. Of course, I asked that. I've been asked that all the time, every time. And then when Ramadan came, the month we fast, and when I tell them that we're fasting, of course that's kind of like an eyebrow that goes up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by fasting? You cannot eat anything for 30 days? No. I explained to them, from sundown to sunset, we do this, and this is part of our religion. I remember one guy said, hey, buddy, go to the bathroom. You can't eat there. Nobody will see you. So don't worry about it. That's the way like I said, they had no clue about the religion. They have no clue about that Islam. So we build up the relationship between the mosque and the different churches around here in Gastonia. And fortunately now, they defend us. They defend if one of the members of the churches, we went to them, and one of the member, we had classes with them. They told us that if we hear another Christian person about you guys, we stood for you. We tell them, no, you should go to the mosque and see how these people behave, how the religion it is. And we are blessed, again, being in the South. It's awesome. We have a good relationship between our mosque and all the surrounding churches around us. We invite them in Ramadan. We had, especially before COVID-19, we had like a dinner gather on Saturdays and Fridays and Saturdays after we break fast. We invited churches to come to eat with us. We've done a unity place here in Gastonia, like Brandy was saying. We had a unity church here. We met with them for several times, and we explained to them and talked to them and asked them questions and Q&A. So we feel like now we're not really associated from the. I mean, we are a part of the community. We are part of Gaston County community churches and mosques because we meet a lot. There's a lot of churches come to the Trialogue meeting, and they I don't want to say amazed, but they now know what the religion is versus 20 years ago. Mm. You know, so that's kind of like an ease in our mind, and ease for us, that when we walk in the mall now, for instance, my wife, she wears the scarf on her head. She feel like she's not feared to walk by herself, you know, back in the days. And when Brandy was talking about one of the girls tell her daughter about you going to hell, that happened to my wife. She used to work at Penny's, and that story we always tell it. And she has a customer, and that customer, like, she loves her. She loves my wife. She was working in a cosmetic department. She always go to her to buy perfumes and, you know, talking to her. And one time she asked her, she said, honey, where are you from? So she said, ma'am, I'm from Cairo, Egypt. Oh, where is that? You know, it's in Africa. And okay. Do you practice, do you believe in Jesus? Of course, ma'am, we believe in Jesus, but we believe in Jesus as a prophet. So the minute she said that, is like, backed out. She said, honey, you're going to go to hell because you don't believe in Jesus. She said, ma'am, we'll see. I don't know. That's up to God. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you yes or no. It's up to God where He's going me to go. From then on, she didn't talk to her. She didn't come buy perfume from her. That was back in the 80s, like I was saying, because, you know, but the transition happened between, you know, from that time until now. That's to show how that, you know, sometimes we have a saying to say, like, something bad happened, but yet you get something good from it. You know, the 9/11 happened is bad, of course. I'm not saying this is a good thing happened, but it turned around, you know, the table to for us to especially in the Western culture, you know, and especially in a society, they have no idea about the religion. They don't have we felt like we are completely way distance between us and everybody else. Now we're like almost, I don't want to say neck to neck, obviously, but we're still very close, you know, between us. Yeah.
Well, and it sounds like the churches around you, like you mentioned, just kind of took you guys in.
100%.
As Christians, we are, I guess, part of Unity's mission is to debunk some of these stereotypes and these prejudices, and to just create more unity and coexistence. We want to have good relationships with the temple and the mosque, and just with our brothers and sisters all around us.
There's so much that connects us. And even through our respective faiths, there's so many parallels if we're doing it the way we're supposed to be doing it. I think the way it was intended, which was just to love and respect each other.
Right.
That doesn't mean, you know, support each other. That doesn't mean we all jump off bridges together. But as human beings, we need that. It's inherent in our biology. It's inherent in our civilizations, that we need each other. And we need all the I think there's so many beautiful things about pure Christianity and Islam. There's so many beautiful, beautiful things about that we can all learn from each other.
Thinking about the church and just Christians in your area, what more could we be doing as a church or as Christians to kind of create a more peaceful coexistence?
Well, in our side, again, like I said, I mean, it's just defend somebody or talk to somebody when they hear the wrong impression about my religion. And that's what we're looking for, is the way we could, like I said, the visiting to the churches, the trialogues, the invitations, the dinners, all those things that come to pray, they come to see how we pray, how we meet, how we see, how we do this. We feel like, we hope that one day, if somebody come and say those guys are terrorists, like Brandy was saying, or those guys are nuts, no, listen to them. Sit down with them. They invite you to go to the mosque. You know, let them sit down and talk and see how simple it is. We are, like Brandy was saying, we have too many things common between the three religions. It's unreal. But there is some people who they have this narrow mind, and that's what we hope that the church can kind of like ease that mind a little bit and open that mind a little bit and let them change a little bit of the image they have on us. That's as far as being Muslim.
Yeah, I like that because I think it's taking a step further than just educating people or trying to create awareness, but you're really being proactive and saying, no, I'm going to defend.
Right.
And educate in that defense.
Right.
That's a really
when it's as long, not just in religions when you see racism of any kind. Mm-hmm. I think that it's been interesting because I think that there's been a long line of us all being trained to not say controversial things and to be polite. And then I personally feel like, and maybe it's just because I'm all of a sudden more aware, I could be entirely off base when I say this, but I feel like the hate has gotten louder or more blatant in a way that it hadn't been before. But I feel like we need to stick up 100%, stick up for each other. I feel like we need to call it out, even if it's uncomfortable. And it doesn't need to always be confrontational. Mm-hmm. I feel like we also have to be able to find ways to have productive conversations about topics like this. We have to say what's wrong. We have to be able to point out why what they're saying is hurtful. And it's not a tit for tat and it's not an argument, but it's trying to pull people back to, okay, I know you're here and I'm there. We're people. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if we are going to take on this responsibility to try to spread more awareness, defend our neighbors, speak up for those who can't or are afraid to in the moment, we need to be able to take deep breaths ourselves and try to do the best that we can do to remain calm so that hopefully our words are heard and it doesn't turn into a confrontation.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say is just being diplomatic in those confrontations, that they don't have to become heated and polarizing. But right. We can defend and educate in a very diplomatic way. Yeah, it takes us all standing together to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Brandy and Sam, for sharing your stories and
awesome.
Yeah, and just being authentic and vulnerable as we talked about these experiences that you and your families have faced.